They say that there are two certainties in life. One is death, the other is taxes. In Dublin we're living with a third certainty, and that's change. Change on a massive scale. In amongst Dublin City's ever-changing street landscapes are world-famous old Dublin pubs to be found. Thankfully, some of these have decided not to change at all and have held on to their original snugs. Today we are going to visit 5 of the best and pick our favourite one. Maybe we'll visit your favourite.
Hello Gerry, nice to meet you.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
This is really lovely and cosy. So Gerry, here we are in the Palace Bar in this beautiful snug. What was the origin of snugs? How did they come about?
After the First World War, when women were struggling for the vote, the suffrage movement was well advanced. Women were actually demanding an equal space in society. And one of the spaces that they wanted an equal place was pubs.
Now we have our own capital D internal competition to find the best snug in Dublin. What are the criterion and what are we looking for?
Right, the number one criteria for a pub snug is a door. You have to have a door in it. Half wood, half window to let a little bit of light in. We also have a hatch. Hatch were absolutely critical because you needed to get your drink in without leaving the snug. And then if you really wanted to be upmarket, the bell.
And there is a story that Michael Collins spent some time in this snug during the Troubles.
It is quite plausible that snugs were used as the third place. I would say yes, that Michael Collins drank in this pub.
Well, I really like this place, but I'm curious about where else we might be going to. So why don't we head out and head to our next snug, see where you go. So Gerry, in contrast with the Palace Bar snug, this one is bright and airy. In terms of our competition for the best snug in Dublin, does it meet all our criteria?
Well, if we re-examine the criteria once again, it has the door, it has the lock on the door from the inside, it has the hatch, it has the bell, the all-important bell, and it also has half wood partitioning. But what's different about this is instead of having glass, it actually has mirrors. So this sort of adds a little bit more to the privacy of the snug here. And you probably wouldn't find the Shawleens of Moore Street or the street dealers in here having their large bottle after selling all day in the street. It'd be more than likely meeting people coming from the train or after being up in the park or the zoo for the afternoon. Just it's a little bit more upmarket, this neck of the woods for me.
So it ticks all the boxes.
It ticks all our boxes. It's up there, and as I say, we all know this is one of the top 5 snugs in Dublin. And just to mention, it has a sister snug right across the bar there, and way back it had 4 snugs. So this was really snugs on a grand scale.
Now this is what I call a snug snug.
This is very snug. We have a riddle about this. When is a snug not a snug? It's when it's in Madigan's and North Earl Street. And there's a very good reason for this, because it isn't actually a snug. It does have some constituent parts. It does have the partition in glass, the entrance, it has the seating, but there's no doors on it. And the reason for that is that it was actually built as a cash box.
What was the origin of the cash box? What role did it play in the pub?
We've 2 versions of the story. The first version I heard was that Mr. Madigan actually sat in here and the bar staff served the drink, but he took the money. And the second version I've heard is that it was basically just a counting house at the end of the night. They pulled the money in here and they counted it out.
So, Tempest Fugit, time flies, we've got to get on our way. Where are you taking me next, Gerry?
We're heading off to Toners in Baggot Street.
Gerry, the snug in Toners of Baggot Street, well known to thousands of Dubliners.
Yes, it's on the famous strip, the famous strip. The people in Dublin revelled into the night. Donaghy Nesbitt's, ourselves here, and the Baggot Inn, well known to late night revellers.
And how does it measure up in terms of our criterion?
Oh, it stacks up very well. It stacks up. It has the wood and the glass top. It has the door, which is lockable from the inside. Very, very important to keep unwanted visitors out. It has seating for around 8 or less people. It feels snug. It definitely ticks the boxes. It doesn't have a hatch to the bar, but it has an open way. Although it's not a hatch, it still works.
You see in the marketing of pubs now that there are claims for literary connections all over the place. Whether they're true or false, I don't know. But in this case, in the case of Toners, we do have a real connection with a real literary giant.
Yeah, we have a bona fide connection now with William Butler Yeats. And he came to this very snug here and he had a glass of sherry. He was writing a very famous poem at the time called I Will Arise and Go Now and Go to Toners Snug. And a glass of sherry had there on a table made of wood, but he didn't really enjoy the visit, so he left. This is true, he didn't like it, and he went home and of course he changed the poem, I Will Arise and Go Now and Go to Innisfree.
Well, that's a nice story. Anyway, you and I need to arise and go now to our final destination in the inner suburbs, I suppose, of Dublin.
Yeah, they would regard themselves as still a village, the village of Raytown, and if you don't know where Raytown is, and you're not a double tall, we're going to Ringsend.
In the way that the Cashbox and Madigan's didn't really conform to our notion of a snug, Gerry, the snug here in the Oarsman is a loose interpretation.
Well, again, it's completely different actually. It's bigger and there's much more light in here, but it does meet one or two of the criteria. It does have the glass panels, there was a door there once upon a time, and it does have the hatch onto the bar. And it has the seating area, so it does meet it, but we know from the history that this actually is the front of the shop that was here originally. In 1882, a man called Tunney came here, Kluskey's, then McDermott's, and McDermott's in the 60s was the man who changed it from the grocer shop situation, created this section here and moved, the grocer shop was gone, then the pub was just extended that direction. But thankfully they held down onto this little front window.
Okay, well, we've seen our 5 snugs. You possibly have a winner in mind. What do you think?
I think we have, yeah. I've run the rule over the 5 we've seen, and we're going to have to retire to a secret location out of the prying ears of anyone around here, because if the word gets out too early, as a tour guide in Dublin, I'm going to be in trouble.
Okay, let's go so. So, Gerry, have you made a choice?
Yes, I have, Anne. It's going to be Toners in Baggot Street. I've been up all night worrying about this, but I've made my decision.
And why is that?
It's the literary connection for me, William Butler Yeats, and also the famous ham and cheese sandwich. But what about you?
Well, I liked them all, but I'm plumping for Ryans of Parkgate Street. I love the airiness, the light, the ivy, the fact that there are 2 snugs, and the chowder, it has to be said. Okay. But in a way, this wasn't a very scientific exercise. Everybody's a winner.
Absolutely. Like we owe a huge debt of gratitude to the 5 snugs that were featured, but also the other snugs. There are so few snugs left in Dublin. I say to all of the owners of all the snugs in Dublin, please keep them in place, because Dublin needs them. We need that part of our heritage saved for future generations, and of course for tourists who come here from all over the world to visit our world famous Dublin pubs.
Well done. Thank you, Gerry.
Okay.